Isang retired Major General nagsalita na at ibinunyag na ang Maharlika Wealth Fund ang siyang magiging susi upang makuha ang tunay-tunaladang ginto ng mga Marcos. Pamilyang Marcos nagsisimula ng tuparin ang pangarap ni dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Sr. para sa mga Pilipino sa kabila ng pagkakabigo ni dating unang ginang Imelda Marcos noong 1998 nang idulog niya ito sa Senado. Magandang araw bayan, magandang araw Pilipinas. Panibagong araw na naman at meron na naman tayong pag-uusapan. Ngunit bago ang lahat, kung hindi ka pa nakakapag-subscribe sa aming channel, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell para mas maging updated ka sa mga newly released naming videos. Kumikilos na ang mga Marcos at bilang na lamang ang mga taon ng paghihirap ng mga Pilipino. Ito ang ipinahiwatig ng isang retiradong Air Division Commander ng Philippine Air Force at dating consultant ng National Security Council of the Philippines matapos uminit ang isyu patungkol sa kontrobersyal na Sovereign Wealth Fund o mas kilala bilang Maharlika Wealth Fund. Ayon pa sa naturang retired Major General, gagamitin umano ang pondo na ito ng pamahalaan upang i-recover ang Wealth for Humanity o Marcos Wealth para sa kapakinabangan ng sambayanang Pilipino. Sa kabila ng pagdududa ng iilan, nanindigan siyang totoo ito at ang tuner-toneladang ginto ng mga Marcos sapagkat nananatiling buhay pa rin daw ang matagal nang nagretirong PEF pilot na siyang naghatid ng naturang mga gold bars sakay ng mga cargo planes patungo sa mga bangko sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Magugulitang nagkaroon ng pribado at seryosong pag-uusap si PBBM at ilang tauhan ng World Bank kasabay ng kanyang state visit sa New York. Sa susunod na buwan ay dadalo rin ang Pangulo sa World Economic Forum na gaganapin sa Davos, Switzerland. Kung kaya't ayon pa sa naturang Major General, hindi malayong Marcos Wealth ang kanilang pinag-usapan at tatalakayin pa lamang. Narito ang kanyang pagbubunyag at pagpapaliwanag na siyang labis na gumulantang sa publiko. Philippine Sovereign Wealth Fund and the Marcos Gold. In my previous post on the proposed Philippine Sovereign Wealth Fund, I mentioned my take, opinion if you may, on the SWF being the facility to recover and use the proceeds of the so-called Marcos Gold for the benefit of the Filipino people. Those who do not believe the Marcos Gold, believe what you believe. That is all up to you. Much of this gold was distributed by then President Marcos Sr. to different top banks around the world for investment and safekeeping. The gold bullions were transported by cargo planes piloted by a long-retired PEF pilot who is still alive today. At his deathbed in 1989, former President Marcos Sr. asked then Vice President Laurel to convey to then President Cory Aquino that he wants to give to the Filipino people 90% of the wealth, provided he is allowed to go home from Hawaii and be buried in the Philippines. President Cory denied the request and instead had all the Marcos accounts around the world frozen so that they cannot be accessed by the Marcoses. So, the accounts were frozen and are now long dormant, but the corresponding wealth is still there, lodged in different banks. The interest of the accounts alone is more than enough to fund the Maharlika Sovereign Fund 1,000 times over. As an aside, the banks and governments where the gold bullions were lodged willingly obliged to freeze the Marcos accounts for their own benefit. In fact, even without the request of the Philippine government then, the banks froze the accounts because the gold or wealth was allegedly stolen. Now, with the election of Marcos Jr. overwhelmingly at that, and the integrity of the wealth documents intact, it proved that the plunder allegations against Marcos Sr. were fabrications and just a convenient tool for political purposes. The statute of limitations, where countries may claim the gold for themselves if they can prove ownership has already lapsed, thereby the gold now belonging to the Philippines. The banks where the bullions are lodged are now obliged to recognize the validity of the bank certificates, gold certificates, deposit certificates, safekeeping receipts, airway bills, bills of loading, invoices, etc., attesting to the gold bullions in their banks. At a state visit of President Marcos Jr. to New York a couple of months ago, he talked to the sidelines with former U.S. State Secretary Henry Kissinger and the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund presidents and decision makers. Although not openly declared, it can be assumed that one of the agenda in their meeting was the Marcos wealth. Next month, President Marcos Jr. will attend the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, upon the invitation of Klaus Schwab, the executive chairman of the WEF. The WEF meeting is attended by the top movers and shakers in the global business. The WEF will be a convenient cover for an important meeting of Marcos Jr., who also controlled the world's wealth, including the Marcos or Filipino people's wealth. With the initiative of President Marcos Jr. to create the Maharlika Sovereign Wealth Fund, it looks like there were initial agreements to release the Marcos wealth, which only needs to be finalized at Davos. So, why is SWF important? The Marcos wealth will not be released and distributed to all Filipinos for them to spend in whichever way they like. That will create superinflation. It will also disturb the global banking system, since the gold may have been used as a backup for the currencies of the countries where the gold bullions are lodged. The wealth will instead be used in an international trading platform or as collateral for the Philippines to undertake various businesses or income-generating projects. The income from these platforms or businesses will be the one to be used to fund the government's infrastructure or social services programs to benefit the people. This is where the Sovereign Wealth Fund comes in. To operationalize, the SWF needs liquid assets, currency reserves, trade surpluses, savings, pension funds, etc. will be used. There should be no worry or hesitancy to use even all of the surpluses, reserves, and pension investable funds since they will be backed up by the Marcos wealth anyway. To optimize the country's availing of the Marcos wealth, the Philippines may even secure debts to as much as it wants to fund its projects, which the lending foreign banks will willingly approve since they are backed up or secured by the Marcos wealth anyway. So there, am I crazy? Am I dreaming? No, I am not. Pagbubunyag ng naturang retiradong Major General. Anong masasabi niyo ukol rito mga kababayan? Just comment it down below sa comment section and give a massive thumbs up kung nagustuhan mo ang paksang ating tinalakay. At huwag kalilimutang mag-subscribe sa channel na ito. Maraming salamat sa inyong walang sawang panonood.